What up, what up? Morning Track North gang. It's your boy, the Stuntman, and we're back. Episode 11, 1-1, baby, that's it. Episode 11 with not just me. Could you imagine 11 episodes of just me? Yikes. Thank goodness I am joined by the one, the only, the Lazarbeam, Chris. What's poppin'? You got some Dylan Cease energy going right now. Like,
What's that? What does that mean? I don't have long
no, but
hair.
you got the
Short.
stash, you got the hoodie up, like you got the ball. Like, what up, Dylan?
He doesn't have a beard though. He's got just the stash. I could never grow a stash like that. It's elite. But I appreciate the compliment because I wish I was Dylan Cease. I'll tell you what, if I was Dylan Cease, I wouldn't be sitting here with you today. So,
oh man,
I'd be getting ready to pitch at the Rogers Center on Saturday.
Can you imagine being friends though, like just with, like maybe you are, but like with a major leaguer and just being like, oh yeah, so I'll text you later. I'm gonna go pitch against, the Athletics today.
Well, okay, so this is a funny story, I guess. So I'm not personally friends with any guys who were in the major leagues. I know a couple guys who've played, like Cal Quantrill. I played with him in high school a little bit. Josh Naylor obviously played against him. But one of my teammates in Guelph, actually, Connor Morrow. Shout out Connor Morrow. He's like best buds with Josh Naylor. And I remember last year we're sitting there in the locker room in August, and it was after Naylor was in Seattle, and he had that like streak where he stole like 10 bags in 10 games or something, and like didn't get caught or whatnot. And I remember Morrow told us that he literally texted him and was like, "What's up with you? Like stealing? Like what are you doing? Stealing all these bases, basically?" And he's like, "LOL, I'm trying to get 30 just to prove that I can." Pretty much was Josh Naylor's thing. He's like, because he's like he's the second slowest player in baseball. The only guy slower than him is Kirk.
It's true.
And he was like 30 of 32 stealing bags last year. And he was just like, LOL, yeah, like this is just something I'm going to do. So, yeah, it was funny. Like they're at the end of the day, they really are just like people, just like us. So,
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I don't know. I see it all the time. And I think I love also seeing those stories of, oh, I faced so-and-so in the show. And they know that because they've come up against their real 99 card. I think that's pretty cool. With the new Canadian Baseball League, our former coverage spot, the IBL, maybe one day you could be in a video game. Like you could be, like the Canadian baseball, if they do a game, maybe by then you might be like on the Hall of Fame team or something like that. Like they might have to do throwback teams, but damn.
I am not on any Hall of Fame team, man. I had a few good seasons. I had a nice little run. I won a ring.
I've always thought about that.
Proud of my career.
I've always thought about that. Just like, I'm just gonna.
I don't know about Hall of Fame.
I don't know. I'm just gonna sign on to MLB The Show and play as myself, being me, like doing the things that I do to get paid. I don't know. It just seems like Inception to me. Really cool. Also, way like first world. Like that's a first world problem to not have, I guess. And if you get to do that, you're living a first world dream. So anyway, we have lots to cover today because today's episode is all about every other team that's not the Blue Jays, even though we are going to talk about the Blue Jays a little bit. Because we are going to talk about every division. And we're going to put everybody through the painstaking rankings that we are going to lay out, because obviously we're geniuses and we know exactly what we're talking about. And then we're going to deliver some very early MVP, Cy Young, World Series picks, some of those season end reward type things. We're going to have some fun today. That's what today's episode is really all about. We don't talk about the other teams a whole lot, like these teams right here. Not that this team in particular, the St. Louis Cardinals, is a fun team to talk about this season, but we'll get there. Shout out JJ Weatherholt making the roster. That's a big win for the Cardinals, and I think that's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun to watch them play baseball at the major league level. But we are one day away. We have today. We have opening day today. Projectedly, right? It's going to happen.
Yeah, we get one game today, and then we get everyone else plays tomorrow, and then Friday
I
Jays
love it.
play
I love it. I'm
the
I'm
Athletics. A
fired
couple
up.
more
I'm
teams
fired
tomorrow.
up. Netflix.
I can't wait, man.
Netflix has today's game. Weird. Weird. But nonetheless, you can tune into Netflix. Unfortunately, if you don't have a Netflix account, they've also cracked down on password sharing, so you will be SOL. However, if you don't care about the Yankees or the Giants, then tonight's game was not for you anyway. But that's going to be a lot of fun. Um, we're back. Baseball is back. And there's something about it. It's almost like now that means warm weather, sunshine, even though there's more snow on the ground in Sault Ste. Marie than anywhere else on the planet right now. I want to die. Not really, not really. In the game, of course, or wherever we're calling it, in fake life. But yeah. Anyway, I guess we're gonna start with the American League, as we should, and then we'll work our way through the rest of the leagues. Um, so, Lazarbeam, without further ado, let us start with the American League East. I think this is going to be the most talked about, the most competitive. It always is. The American League East is quite literally the best in baseball when it comes to just competitiveness. I love it. You can always predict what you'd like to see 1 through 5. 5 is usually a lock. Everyone usually gets 5 right. 1 through 4, though, that can fluctuate any given week, which is really cool. So, um, all the big shots, they've delivered their picks. All of CBS and Fox and all those other guys, and I gotta say, man, the Blue Jays are not getting enough love. The Blue Jays have been getting this like, oh, they're going to be second or they're going to be third. Third. That's disrespect. I am disrespected when I hear that the Blue Jays are going to finish third in the American League or the American League East. Sorry. Anyway, that upsets me. Would you like to just dive right into 1 through 5, or do you want to dive into? I mean, let's face it. You got Vladdy leading the charge for Toronto. You have this like Boston Red Sox team that's kind of rebuilt themselves, kind of. Roman Anthony, huge upside. Garrett Crochet, monster. Um, the Yankees have Aaron Judge, and they're getting Garrett Cole back, huge. I've been high on the Baltimore Orioles. I think they rebuilt themselves quite well. I think they could give any of those first 3 teams that I just mentioned a run. And then you have the Tampa Bay Rays. Although they're not playing in that was rude. But although they're not playing in
That's the right way to say
they're
it.
not playing in a minor league park anymore. Shout out Tropicana. Shout out Juice. Love Tropicana juice. My grandmother would buy Tropicana juice all the time. Strawberry mango flavor. Goated. They're back. Tropicana Field. That's great for them. It will not necessarily help some of their numbers as inflated as they were last year. Like Junior Caminero probably had a better year on paper because of the kiddie pool ballpark they were playing in. But they're definitely 5. They're 5. If you have them any higher than 5th in the American League East this season, you're a silly goose. It's not happening. Anyway, I could probably give you my 1 through 5 pretty easy. And I'm not trying to be a homer about it. But what about you? Do you have anything to contribute to my long-winded rant about how awesome the American League East is and all of that?
Well, I was trying to figure out where you were going. I was like, is there a question coming? Like, I'm trying to follow because I'm
No,
trying
I'm
to
just
prepare myself for any question you might ask, and you're just like, all right, well, here we are.
yeah.
So,
So I guess my question is, where do you see the American League East shaping up, and
Mhm.
should everybody be putting their money on the Blue Jays being number 1?
I mean, like I would put my money on the Blue Jays being number one, but I can understand why there would be some hesitation there. I mean, it's an excellent division. Um, yeah, I mean, I think my biggest story for this division is how many teams out of the AL East are going to make the playoffs. Because I do think that there is a world where you could have 4 out of the 5 teams making the playoffs. I could see all 3 wildcard teams coming out of the East. I'm not predicting that. I don't think that's going to happen just because I think they're going to beat up on each other too much. Um, and so I'll get into obviously our 1 through 5, and then I'm also going to give playoff picks through there as well. Um, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm interested in. Is there's a potential of having 4 playoff teams in a year where we are going to have the FIFA World Cup come to Canada for the first time. FIFA World Cup's coming to the United States. It's going to be played in football stadiums, but it's going to be across from baseball throughout one of those months. The AL East is the group of death in baseball, and it is hell. And it's nice that the Jays are really, really good. It does kind of go back to, man, imagine if the Jays were in the AL Central. I don't know if you know this. Some of our listeners might know this, but back in the 90s, when they were realigning divisions, because before the lockout, you just had the 2 divisions. You had the AL East and the AL West, I believe. It was split up into 2, and that was when the Jays won their World Series, right? Because there wasn't a division series or anything like that. So they split up the league into 3 divisions. It was the AL West, AL Central, and AL East. And if I remember correctly, the Blue Jays had an option of being either in the AL Central or the AL East. Now, at the time, the Yankees were obviously the Yankees, but every other team in the AL East wasn't actually that good. They weren't like that special. The Red Sox weren't very good. The Orioles weren't good. The Rays, I don't know if they even existed yet. Um, but the Jays chose to play in the AL East because they wanted the revenue of getting to play the Yankees at home 9 times a year. I wish they had just chosen to play in the Central. I really do. Our lives would be so much easier if the Jays just chose to play in the Central. But I digress. Um, yeah, I mean, do we want to just
Give me
go into our picks here, or do you have anything else you want to say about the division?
give me your 1 through 5 or 5 to 1 to keep it
Okay, we'll go
entertaining.
5 to
We
1.
already know 5. We've got to probably agree on 5. There's no doubt about it.
Yep. Let's just go back. Let's do this. Let's go back and forth. So
Okay.
I'll give. So 5, we got the
We got
Rays.
the
Okay,
Rays.
so
5.
both of us have the Rays, obviously.
5.
Okay, who do you got for?
I have the Boston Red Sox as my 4.
Okay, okay. I This one might surprise some people. I have the New York Yankees finishing 4th in the
Are you
division.
okay? Are you okay?
It's a hot take.
Uh,
It's a hot
wow.
take. I don't think their lineup is that good. I think it's fine, but I don't think it's very deep. I think they have a lot of guys who could miss time with injuries, whether it's Stanton, whether it's a guy like a Judge or whoever. Um, their rotation, we see how thin it is. They're running a 4-man rotation to start the year. Like, you're not in a great spot if you're running a 4-man rotation to start the year. Getting Garrett Cole back will help a lot. Um, Max Fried is obviously going to be excellent. People are really high on Cam Schlittler. The rotation could be good. I just think that the other 3 teams that I have ahead of them are just better. That's really what it comes down to. It's not even that I think the Yankees are bad, because I think the Yankees are going to finish 4th, and I think they're going to compete for a playoff spot. But I just think the other 3 teams are just better. That's just really what it comes down to for me.
Yeah, I don't know if Boston did enough for me in the offseason. I don't know if their pitching can hold up in this division. Yeah, like I said, we said it in our last pod. You got teams like the Blue Jays where it's going to be an absolute wagon with every player that's going to come to the plate. And for the most part, almost every team in the AL East is like that. Like, you just have dogs after dogs after dogs. You really do. When everyone's healthy. And health is going to be a big deal, which is why I have the Yankees as my 3. I think health is going to play a factor. And at the end of the day, Judge can only carry your team so far, and getting Garrett Cole back is great. I don't think it's going to be the wow factor that everybody is maybe anticipating, or that like, ooh, that was the missing piece. Here we go, World Series bound. Nope, I don't. I don't see it, and I don't see the pieces around guys like Judge making an impact. Stanton will be hurt before we know it, and I don't know. Is Anthony Volpe like actually coming back? Is he making an appearance again in New York, or is he finally just deciding to hide?
He's going to play short. They don't have another option. Yeah, I mean, I think that's like this is the one I wrestled with, right? Like I have the Red Sox at 3, so like we just kind of flipped our 3 and
Yep,
4.
pretty much the same reasons.
I do
For pretty much the same reasons.
well, so here's my thing with the Red Sox though, right? Is like you say that you're not sure about the pitching. I'm higher on the pitching than you are. I think Garrett Crochet is going to have another awesome season. They got Sonny Gray this offseason, who you as a Cardinals fan obviously know about Sonny Gray and how good he was um, not that long ago. Ranger Suarez obviously added. I'm a little lower on Ranger Suarez than maybe some people,
I'm a little
but I do
higher.
think he'll
Yeah,
be
I'm a little
effective.
higher on him. I like it. I like the
Yeah,
move.
Johan Oviedo is a bit of a project. Got great stuff, but who knows? Brian Bayo should be a decent back end of the rotation guy. Their lineup is pretty good. Bottom of their order might not be so great. They're going to be relying on a few young guys to get the job done. Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, Cedon Rafaela. But I do like kind of, it reminds me of the Jays a little bit where like they have maybe one superstar with Roman Anthony, but they just have a lot of depth where like they're going to be tough outs throughout the lineup, and their bullpen's pretty good. I mean, like it's not super deep, but the top end of that bullpen, if they have a lead late, they're going to be in a good spot with Aroldis Chapman and Garrett Whitlock. So yeah, I think that I have them finishing third, and I do have them making the playoffs as a wild card team.
The Red Sox. Right
Yes.
on. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I have. Yeah, I mean, I think the Yankees could probably squeak in as a wild card team. Um, it all comes down to that health factor, though. Like like, and they're not deep. They do not have that depth that we're talking about with those other teams. So maybe I was a little high
Yeah.
on them. Maybe I'm banking on a big offensive season from Judge to kind of carry them. But hey,
It's tough because that's really what they did last year, right? Like their offense wasn't that great last year, but Aaron Judge is just so good
Yeah, I
that
don't know.
like
They just
he can
I
carry them, right?
and
So
that's what makes the division fun to watch. Um,
yeah. The thing with the Yankees, sorry, last point on the Yankees before we move on to the top two. But my thing with the Yankees is last year, what the Yankees did and the reason they won 94 games because they beat up on all the bad teams. Like they beat the crap out of bad teams, but they really struggled against good teams. You saw how much they struggled against the Jays, even against the Red Sox. They weren't super great. They really had a tough time against teams that were playoff teams last year, and they just beat up on the bottom feeders. With the AL East being even more competitive and us obviously both being pretty high on the Orioles, it's not going to be as easy for them against those good teams. It's why I do trust the Blue Jays a little bit more because of how good they were against good teams a year ago. So, yeah, that's why I'm a little bit lower on the Yankees. But I guess we can go right to our top two. I assume we have the same 1-2. I've got the Jays 1, Orioles 2. I guess you've probably got the same.
buddy, do I ever? Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, Pete Alonso, Taylor Ward, Samuel Basayo, Tyler O'Neill, Colby Mayo, Colton Cowser, Blaze Alexander. That screams number 2 in the AL East every day of the week. I am here for it. And that doesn't even include a Jackson Holiday who's dealing with a broken hand. Or Jordan
Yeah.
Westberg, who tore his UCL. So I am 100% in on, I'm buying all the, I can't wait for this segment in upcoming pods. I am buying all the stock in the Orioles. They are my second wild card, or like they'll be my first wild card team, followed by, and then of course the Jays being number 1. Jays, Orioles wild card, Yankees wild card, everybody else. Yeah, I'm here for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're not going to spend much time on the Jays. We just did a whole episode previewing the Jays, so we're not going to talk about them
Sure,
much. Everyone knows where we stand on them.
they're awesome.
Yeah, the Orioles, like both of us are high on the
Yep.
Orioles. I like their rotation, not because I think it's super top end, but I do think that over the course of 162, the Orioles are a team where I don't love them in the playoffs. I just don't think they have the top end pitching to be able to succeed in the playoffs. But I really like them over 162. You know, having a guy like Chris Bassett, uh, Trevor Rogers was really good last year. Um, some of those other starters that they added, they're going to be a problem. Their bullpen a little sketchy. That's the one part of their team where I'm a little bit sketched. Uh, I think they have Felix Bautista back though, right?
Hmm.
So, um, I mean that's as good as it gets at the back end of a bullpen. So yeah, I'm high on the Orioles. I have them as my first wild card team as well.
I love it. Isn't it nice when we can agree? I love getting along. I love
Yeah,
getting along. It's nice to spice it up. You know, we spiced it up a little bit in the last one.
it's probably not as good for the content, but it's nice
Yeah,
for
but
us.
listening to guys like disagree all the time too, it's like, okay, we get it. Like you don't like each other or you don't like each other's picks, and I am almost like over it. Either way,
Yeah,
solid. That is the AL East. Moving on now to a division that maybe we'll agree on again, maybe not. The American League Central. I mean, the Tigers, like you said in the last episode, because you're a huge Tigers guy now. You love what they did with their 1-2. You think it's the best 1-2 punch in baseball outside of the Dodgers. We heard you.
I did
Well,
say
we heard
that.
you say it. We heard you say it. You basically said it. Point is, they're the favorites. The Tigers are the favorites to win the AL Central. I don't know if we will both agree on that. I guess we'll find out. But you have the Tigers adding Framber Valdez, so now you have arguably the best 1-2 punch in the AL Central. Like that's a given. Um, and then you have the Kansas City Royals, where you have all sorts of fun happening in Kansas City. I think Kansas City is a team that people should not be sleeping on. You have some fun happening there. Bobby Witt, Jack Caglione, you have the Sasquatch. We're fired up in Kansas City. Um, you also have new stadium dimensions coming into play. Like they did some work on that stadium as well, and all of these stadium adjustments I think are going to eventually come into play. Oh yeah, and then you have these other three teams called the Cleveland Guardians, the Chicago White Sox, and the Minnesota Twins. I don't know. This division is like so boring outside of those top two teams, in my opinion. But it's almost
Yeah,
it's almost I call it like the small ball division of baseball because they just play this gritty, grind it
it's
out.
a good take.
It's just gritty, grind it out. You described in the last episode that you would rather watch paint dry than listen to Ross Atkins hold a presser, and I compared it off camera to watching the Cleveland Guardians play baseball, which is ironic and also fitting because that's where he came from. Um, but yeah, this division almost a wash. Um, but I'd love to hear your take on it.
Yeah, I mean, like the AL Central sucks, man. Like it just sucks. There's no other way to put it. Um, it's probably going to be the worst division in baseball, but
Damn.
the top two teams I do think are interesting. Yeah, I got nothing on the Twins.
No.
The White Sox made a couple moves. At least they'll be more watchable this year. Uh, Cleveland is unwatchable at their best, so
Wow.
that's tough. The Kansas City Royals are super fun. The Tigers might be like the Tigers. I guess this is the thing I'm most interested with at the AL Central is the Tariq Skubal drama. Is what are they going to do with Skubal if they are fighting for a playoff spot at the trade deadline? Do they trade Skubal? Do they keep him and try to go on a run? I don't know. I have a hard time seeing how you let that guy walk for free. Like, he is the greatest asset your organization maybe has ever had, outside of maybe Miguel Cabrera.
Joseph
So,
Verlander.
um,
Joseph Verlander.
yeah, I mean, you could argue that. No, Verlander's pretty
You
good
could
too.
argue that. You
So
could argue
yeah,
depending on what the argument is. I know what you're alluding to. Is you could argue, you could
yeah,
make that argument.
yeah.
But yes, okay. So
Anyway, okay, yeah, let's go
so
right into our 1 through 5. We don't have to go team by team here because it's going to
amazing,
be whatever.
amazing.
But why don't you get us started? Give us your 5 through 1. Go reverse order.
Reverse. I'm hitting everybody with maybe the most obvious 5 through 1. 5 Twins, 4 White Sox, 3 Guardians. This is where it gets fun. I have the Kansas City Royals finishing 1 and the Detroit Tigers finishing 2. I think that drama maybe catches up with them. I think the Tigers are going to do what the Tigers do every season, which is kind of flop and slosh around and always be in the mix, but never really be that team. And this year will be the year that the Kansas City Royals say, hello, we're going to make good on all of those mistakes that we have made in seasons past. And I got Kansas City finishing numero uno in the AL Central.
So this is bad for the podcast. This is
No
bad.
way! There's no way you have that same. Almost. Is it the same 5 through 1?
I have, and actually, you know what's funny is I had it a little bit different, and then before we started this segment, as soon as we moved to the AL Central, I thought about it and I was like, no, I'm going to flip 2 teams, and because I flipped those 2 teams, we have the exact same 1 through 5. I've got the Royals finishing first. I've got the Tigers finishing second. Guardians 3, White Sox 4, Twins 5. Here's my question for you though: do you have the Tigers as a playoff team? Are they one of your wild card teams? Because you already picked. Did you say the Yankees were a wild card team, or did you just pick the Orioles?
I did say the Yankees were a wild card team. I do not have the Detroit Tigers as a wild.
So
No. Yeah, I do not
okay.
have the Detroit Tigers as a playoff team.
Okay, so that's where we differ. Is I do think the Tigers are still going to be a playoff
Fair.
team. I think that the top of their rotation is just gonna mow through some of those. I just think the bottom 3 teams are so, especially the bottom 2 teams, are just so bad that those top teams are going to be able to bank a bunch of wins against them. So
God, those teams are bad.
yeah,
those
I
teams
think
that
that
are so bad.
they're bad.
So bad.
They're really
so
bad.
bad.
How about Sir Anthony Dominguez asked why he went to the White Sox and being like, oh, because I want to redeem losing the World Series last year, so I went to the White Sox. Hilarious quote. Anyway,
I can't wait to wear my White Sox hat and just say
you want to know the craziest stat about the Chicago White Sox,
just say
though?
that I'm a huge fan. What would you like to truth bomb on this podcast right now?
So the Chicago White Sox, I want to say in the last 90 plus years have won a playoff series in one season in the last like 90 plus years. And it was the year they won the World Series in 05. So they have gone their last 90 or so years with 1 year where they've won a World Series and haven't won a playoff series outside of that season at all, basically. Like, it is the ultimate, like, you know how people will say, like, would you trade, like, for Leafs fans, like, would you trade a Stanley Cup for 50 years of misery? It's like, I don't know, ask White Sox fans.
Yeah.
They actually know whether or not they would take that trade, right? So,
that's tough.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that streak isn't going to end anytime soon because they are bad. But
they're pretty bad. They are pretty bad.
Yeah. Anyway, I've spent enough time on the AL Central. I don't really care to talk about this division anymore.
I love when we can wrap up the AL Central in 8 minutes.
Perfect.
AL West. So from most predictable division to maybe the most interesting in the American League. And I use interesting lightly because we did just hype up how, the AL East was arguably the most competitive. So if you were going to, let's say, use blanketed terms, AL East, most competitive, AL Central, most predictable, and AL West, maybe the most interesting. I think we will probably agree on number one. But this season holds a bit of a different weight, and maybe we're starting to see a change in some of those teams that we have called notoriously bad for so long. But maybe this is the year that the Athletics finally start to kick some tires and get a little bit of footing. I'm not saying they're coming out and winning the division. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's not happening. If you're coming here for that hot take, we're not idiots. I often present myself to be one, but I'm not, I promise. I do not have the Athletics winning. But I think they might make a little bit more quote unquote noise than than not. So the Mariners, obviously, great pitching, like nails with pitching. Improved lineup. Shout out St. Louis Cardinals legend Brandon Donovan, now a Seattle Mariner. Do you think this could be the year that the Mariners make a World Series? If it's not the Jays, it's got to be the Mariners, don't you think?
I think the Mariners are the second best team in the American League. You can make an argument that they're better than the Jays. A lot of people have made that argument. I am a believer that until you take the crown, those who wear the crown are ultimately get the benefit of the doubt.
Mhm.
But I do understand why people think that the Mariners are that team. I mean, end of the day, last year they were up 3-2, one win away from going to a World Series. They were 9 outs away from going to a World Series before George Springer happened. So um,
Crazy.
they that like their fans should be very excited about this team. My only thing with them is I feel like they missed a big opportunity this offseason because I don't think that they added enough. I don't think they really went for it. Um, losing Gino is going to hurt. That kind of sucks for them. He's everyone says like he's such an important part of that clubhouse. He was such a big fan favorite there. That one's going to hurt. Uh, Getting your boy Brandon Donovan should help at second base. Replace Jorge Polanco, who they also lost.
It's the
So
perfect replacement. Honestly, it's the
yeah,
perfect replacement for a guy who will
yeah.
grind out at bats, get on base, maybe a little less pop than Polanco, but at the end of the day, you are getting. You know when you look at a player,
He's an obvious
yeah, but
guy.
like when you look at a player and you see how they play and you go, you just fit on a team. Like he
Mhm.
plays Seattle Mariner baseball, and he fits perfectly there. Um,
Yeah, I like Brandon
yeah,
Donovan. I'm not as high on their lineup as other people are. I think Cal Raleigh is going to come back to earth. I think he's still going to be a very good player, but like I don't think he's going to put up 60 homers again. I don't see
Do
that
you think
happening.
that the Mariners finish with 100 wins?
No,
Less than 100 wins.
no, I don't. Yeah, I think less than
That's
100 wins. I don't know
there's
if
a
anyone
lot
in
of
the AL
people.
finishes with
There's a
100
lot of
wins.
people projecting that they could. Like this could be the year for the
Their
Mariners.
rotation's so
Like
good, right? Like their rotation is so good, and um, that's going to help them a lot. Their bullpen's really good. Uh, they're going to be able to hit at least a little bit,
yep,
right? Like you feel pretty good about Julio Rodriguez. You feel pretty good about Josh Naylor. Like you said, Brendan Donovan fits in there. JP Crawford at the bottom of that order is a decent player. Cal Raleigh, obviously, in the heart of that order. So, yeah, I mean, their lineup doesn't necessarily terrify me. I do think that there's a pocket in there that where you can get some easy outs. So that's the only thing. The other thing for them is ultimately going to be health. Are they able to stay healthy? Right, like last year, you can make an argument. You can make a pretty strong argument that if Brian Wu was 100% and starting those games in the playoffs in the ALCS, maybe they don't even get to a game seven. Maybe they will wrap up that series in six. So, um, yeah, they're an interesting team. The thing with the Mariners is that they do kind of have that that franchise syndrome of the always the bridesmaid, never the bride type of
Yep.
team. And like last year was the most successful season they had in franchise history. They won 7 playoff games, right? Like they didn't make it to a World Series, and it's the best season they've ever had. So, um, yeah, I mean, I will say as a Jays fan, if it's not the Jays, I would like for it to be the Mariners. That would be really cool. Also, I'm a Seahawks fan, so like I do have a soft spot in my heart for the city of Seattle. My sister was also born there, so shout out the city of Seattle, gorgeous city. I don't know if you've ever
I
been.
have
I went
not.
a couple
I
times this
wish.
year.
I wish. I've never.
Such a beautiful city, man. Like such a nice city. The fish are delicious. Like the food is delicious there. Pike Place Market is a place you got to go at some point in your life. The coffee's obviously really good. Um, so yeah, I'm pulling for the Mariners.
Love it.
But anyway, I feel like we spent all this time talking about the
We
Mariners.
haven't
Let's
really talked
go.
about the other teams, and you know,
Yeah,
they for me, if the Oakland Athletics can get a little bit more pitching,
they're not the Oakland Athletics
uh,
anymore. They're just the Athletics.
yeah, what are
They're
we call?
just the
No, aren't they?
Athletics.
They've got to come from up. They're
No,
playing in a place where the like.
Sacramento.
Okay, I'm not calling them that.
No, no, but this is the thing. They're just the Athletics. They actually like their legal team name is the Athletics. They don't have a city associated with their team because they wanted to name them the Vegas Athletics in anticipation of them moving to Vegas,
Right,
but it got shut down. I can't remember the exact story, but I'm pretty sure the trademark or something came back and they weren't able to do it. Similar to like when the Utah Mammoth wanted to be the Utah Yeti
yikes.
and it got shot down. So now they're just the Athletics,
Yeah,
and then we'll figure out what they're going to be when they move to
yeah.
Vegas.
Anyway, I just think if they can get a little bit more pitching help, I think there's a chance that maybe we see see some movement from there. We see a little bit of we see them move up a little bit. Texas Rangers, they're an interesting cat this season. They've got a handful of new names and a handful of not no names. That's a bad way to put it, but older names, staple names, names that have been there. I can't tell if their roster is young or old. Like it's this weird mixed kind of bag. Um, and then the Astros who are declining, and then the Angels. Um,
The Angels who put up a pillar of Alek Manoah in their stadium, only for Alek Manoah to not make the team. It's hilarious. It's so funny. It's so Angels.
that's really bad. But
It's really
hey,
bad.
last time I heard, pressure is something you only put in tires, and also the asinine comments about him saying that he's a big piece or a big part of why the Blue Jays made the World Series is also the most hilarious thing in baseball. Um,
It's just tone
that's
deaf,
so
man. Like
crazy. It's so crazy to me.
his whole existence has been tone deaf.
Crazy.
Like it's just been like I don't know. It's unfortunate because like he could have been such a great story. Comes from nothing, like his mom was homeless, like like not eating because she was putting food on their plate and whatever. And then he just comes out and basically like ruins his career because he quite literally got fat and happy. And also just like he took it's incredible that a guy that came from that little took it for granted. And that is, I think, the most disappointing part with Alek Manoah. But we're not here to talk about Alek Manoah. We're here to talk about the AL West standing. So we're already at like our 10-minute mark. So let's get into our 1 through 5, and then we can touch on teams kind of as we go here. So why don't you go ahead with your 1 through 5?
Oh,
Because you got a playoff team coming out of here too, a
me,
wild card team.
me. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go. Angels 5, Astros 4, and maybe that's crazy. Maybe that's not. I just think their regression hits them a little bit faster than people were expecting. I don't. I don't know. I don't love them. Um, One could say that the dynasty that was the Houston Astros is coming to an end. Um, and then Athletics, Rangers, Mariners. That's how I'm lining things up the top there. So um, you could maybe flip flop A's Rangers, but I'm almost crazy putting. I feel crazy putting the Athletics second. I genuinely feel kind of crazy saying that. It sounds like a crazy statement. Um, but like I said, maybe with a little bit more pitching, maybe that would be a hot take. But not a take that I'm gonna have. So if we have the same, you could just say same, and we can move on because that would be two for two. And now I'm a little worried about the National League. Oh no! All right, that
Hey,
was the American League West.
hold on, no. So yeah, I mean, it's funny because like same thing. By the way, started this segment. I looked at my 1 through 5, and the 1 through 5 I had earlier. I'm like, I don't love it because I had so my original 1 through 5 was Mariners 1, Athletics 2, Astros 3, Rangers 4, Angels 5, and the reason for that was because I was like the Rangers are Corey Seager and friends, and Eovaldi and DeGrom maybe, right? But then I actually like pulled up their roster and I was looking at this team and I forgot they had Brandon Nimmo. Wyatt Langford is a
Yep.
stud. Corey Seager's obviously excellent. Evan Carter is a good player. They got Danny Jansen now. He's going to catch for them. And then their rotation, they got Eovaldi, DeGrom, Mackenzie Gore, who I forgot that they got this offseason, Jack Leiter, Kumar Rocker, uh, rounding out the rotation. And then the bullpen is a little bit sketchy. Um, so I did look at it that way. My final standings for the AL West aren't going to be exactly the same. And it's because the bullpen concerns me with the Rangers. Not that the bullpen doesn't concern me with the team that I have in second, but I have the Angels 5, Astros 4, Rangers 3, Athletics 2, Mariners 1. And my thing with the Athletics is I do think their pitching's going to be better. I don't know if it's going to be great, but I think it's going to be better. And I think that offense might be a top 5 offense in baseball. They are really, really good. And Jays fans, like, you know how you said, I think it was on yesterday's pod talking about the Jays, where you said the Jays should win the first 2 games just off pitch it. And they probably should because on paper you look at it and they're just better. But did you see Luis Severino throwing 100 in the World Baseball Classic? Like, that was electric, right? Like, if he can do
Uh
that,
oh.
and like, Severino on the road is really good. It's Severino in Sacramento that's not very good. Their lineup rakes. Like, their lineup's going to be really, really good. I expect some high scoring games this weekend in Toronto. And yeah, I do think they're going to ride that a little bit throughout this season. Minor League Park will also help their offensive numbers too. So yeah, I got the Athletics too. Mariners are my only playoff team coming out of the AL West. I think you have the Rangers being the last wild card team.
I
Correct?
do.
Cool. Okay.
Well, that is the American League West and the American League. So that's the entire American League. We did it. We did it, Naylor.
So who are your final standings predictions for the playoffs? Like, where do you see everybody seeding?
Oh gosh.
Or do you want me to go first
You
on
can go
this?
first.
I can
Yeah,
go
go
first on
first
this.
on
Yeah,
this.
so I've got the Mariners finishing first in the American League in the regular season. I have the Jays finishing second, so those are your 2 teams that are going to get buys, in my opinion. I got the Royals finishing third, winning the AL Central. First wild card team, I have the Baltimore Orioles. Second wild card team, I have the Detroit Tigers. And third wild card team, I have the Boston Red Sox. So I would have Royals versus Red Sox in one wild card series, Orioles versus Tigers in the other.
I like it. I couldn't even think that fast on my feet and put it together. And I'm going to run with basically yours. That was perfect. That was awesome. Nobody even needs to hear mine. Life is good.
I'm sorry for putting you on
No,
the
I
spot
like
like
being
that.
put.
That
I
was
like being put on the spot, but I'm also very picky, and sometimes my ADHD doesn't let me make decisions as fast as I want to. But at
that's
the end of
fair.
the day, we basically agreed on like 3/4 of the AL anyway. So, um,
pretty
I'm cool
much.
with putting the AL to bed. Goodbye, American
Just
League.
put it to bed.
We will see you this weekend. Now we get a chance to move on to the National League. And I think we'll just do it the same. National League East, National League Central, National League West. I don't necessarily have any crazy fun things coming out of this, outside of some major moves like we did see in the National League East. We did see guys like Castellanos leave Philly. We saw guys like Bo Bichette join the Mets and Jorge Polanco join the Mets. And we saw the Braves lose Profar again to PEDs. We saw the Nationals do absolutely nothing except offload this offseason. And the Marlins did what the Marlins do. But I
Which is not a whole
not a
lot.
whole lot, but I think they're onto something still. Like they're not necessarily sniffing at, you know, like I don't know. You almost look at that division and you don't put them in that same top 3 team list. You almost just kind of figure the top 3 teams are always going to be 1-3 of something like the Mets, Phillies, Braves. Like this just always feels like that will always be a thing. Like always. I don't foresee.
I
I mean,
mean,
it could.
Nationals won a World Series not that long ago,
Yeah, but it
so
feels so long ago. Like
it does
it
feel so long
genuinely
ago.
feels like an eternity, and that's more so what I mean. It feels so
Juan Soto has played on 3 teams since that happened.
3 teams. Let it be said,
Yeah.
3 teams.
He's also played on 3 teams in the
That's
last 3 years.
that's
So
crazy. But either way, here we are, National League East, and I think 5-4-3 is pretty defined, in my opinion.
well, let's see. Let's see.
So
What do you
I'm
got?
jumping right in with Nationals 5, Marlins 4, Braves, Phillies, Mets. Three,
So you got the Mets
two,
winning the
one.
NL East. Okay.
I personally would be a fool to not pick the Mets. You could make a case that I am the fool for picking the Mets. But I'm at a stage right now where I think they did enough against those other teams in that division. And they're going to be competitive. I was close I wanted to pick Philly. But I went with the Mets. And I'm going to stick with the Mets. I am going to put my foot down and stick with the Mets. So that's my 5-1. Nationals, Marlins, Braves, Phillies, Mets. I think that's pretty good. I like that. I think the Phillies will probably be the wild card team. Right? I,
I am glad that
yeah.
for once we don't really agree on a
Nice.
division.
I love it.
So this is good. This is good.
Hit me, Lazarbeam.
Uh,
What do you got?
the only the only thing we agree on is the Nationals are going to finish first.
Nice. Oh, let's
That's the
go.
only thing we really agree
That's
on.
awesome. Not
I've
unless
got
you're a Nationals fan, in which case, sorry,
that
it
sucks.
sucks.
Yeah.
I don't think I know a single Nationals fan.
Yeah, I don't think I do either. I got the Nationals fifth. I got the Braves fourth.
Woo! Okay.
I just looked at their roster and their starting rotation and there's their pitching staff in general. And oh my god, it is bad. Like after Chris Sale, it is horror awful. Like it is really not good. Um, I got the Marlins finishing third. I think that might be a little bit of a hot take, but I like the top of their rotation. I like their bullpen. They're going to have a tough time offensively, but Canadian legend Owen Casey going to get everyday playing time, which is nice. I think the Marlins are going to be really fun to watch. I really do. I think they have a lot of young, fun players that you can look at on that team, whether it's Jacob Marcy, who's a good outfielder, Liam Hicks, another Canadian. It's like Team Canada over here. Liam Hicks, Otto Lopez, and Owen Casey are all likely going to start for them. Augustin Ramirez might actually be their best hitter, and he's a catcher. So, former Blue Jays farmhand Griffin Conine is in that lineup. So, I like the Marlins to finish third. I think they're going to finish around 500. I got the Mets finishing second and being a wild card team, and I got the Phillies winning the division. My thing with the Mets is I think they have too much talent to truly fail, like to be bad. But I could see the Mets finishing like fourth. I really could, because defense, while in baseball isn't the biggest thing, it matters. And you have a guy playing first base who's never played there before, and you have a guy playing third base who we already know is going to struggle at third base. And that's really tough. When half your infield is bad defensively, that's tough. Marcus Semien isn't the same guy that he was back in 2021 when he was electric with the Jays, or even 2022 when he was with the Rangers. Although I do think he will help them a little bit. Like I said, I think they're going to hit enough. Luis Robert will be an interesting project out in center field. Their starting rotation should be okay. Again, a little volatile there too with Nolan McLean, Kodai Senga. You got some guys who are a little more volatile in that starting rotation. Freddie Peralta should help. But yeah, I like the Phillies. I think that Bryce Harper is going to have a really good season. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's one of those guys where if you doubt him, he will use it as motivation. Although he came out and said that Dombrowski's comments about him not being elite anymore didn't actually motivate him, so maybe not. But
okay,
yeah, I think the Phillies are going to win the East. Zach Wheeler is obviously a stud. I think he's the best pitcher in that division. So Joan Duran at the back end of that bullpen too. And they were close last year. Christopher Sanchez is really good in that rotation too. Losing Ranger Suarez sucks, but I think they'll be able to fill that role. Yeah, so I got the Mets as a wild card team. I got the Phillies winning the division, and then I got Marlins, Braves, Nationals rounding out the NL East.
sweet, man. National League East drama on the pod. You'll love to see it.
Finally, some disagreement.
Finally, but that is the National League East, where we now move on and introduce the National League Central. I don't want to talk about this division. This division hurts me. I feel like this division is just Cardinal slander. I will not stand for it. I obviously have to think with my head and not my heart. However, I think there's a chance that a team in this division finishes lower than the Cardinals. It won't be by much, maybe 1 or 2 games. And that's the Cincinnati Reds. I don't love the Reds. I've never been super high on the Reds, and I maybe am making a hot take right here on the pod. You brought back Suarez. I think that's great. You have, obviously, studs like Ellie De La Cruz, who's going to be just fine every year, puts up numbers, is electric. One of the more electric guys in baseball, truly. Stand-up guy. Friedel, he'll hit well. Marte is what it is. Brian Hayes doesn't scare me anymore. I don't know. Their rotation doesn't necessarily scare me a whole lot. I've seen it as a Cardinals fan a little bit more than in other divisions. I feel like the Cardinals always hit well against Cincinnati as well, which is why if I'm just diving right into, I guess 5 through 1, for me, it's going to be the Reds at 5. I got to put the Cardinals at 4. It pains me to say it, but It's going to be a long year. I would be surprised if I don't know. I'm like I don't even know how many wins. It won't be a whole lot. Let's put it that way. Um, Maybe in that like low 70s, like I mid 70s. If we're looking at the Cincinnati Reds finishing below, let's say the Reds finish with like 74 wins, you're probably looking at the Cardinals rolling in at like 77. I'm not saying it's going to be by much. I'm saying it's going to be just enough. It's going to be a long year. Shout out JJ Weatherholt making the roster. Love that for the Cards. That's a bright spot for me. Then 3-2-1 gets a little interesting. Um, I don't want to call the Cubs a lock for number one, but I am putting them at one. I think they're going to finish first in the division this year. And then my 2 and 3 have flipped. Like I just keep kind of flip flopping between them. Um, I'd love to see what the Pirates have been doing without having a massive payroll like pay off. You know what I mean? It's one of those success stories. It's one of those teams in baseball that notorious owners don't spend money, notorious for cutting guys before they reach inning limits so they don't make bonuses. Andrew Heaney robbed of a bonus last season because of that. That's snake behavior. So you don't
Behavior.
and you don't want to see a team that snakes guys do well from an ownership perspective, but you want to see that team do well because it's a good story. Imagine them finishing in a position where it sets up matchups against big teams, like the Dodgers, like other teams down the road. So I'll go bold, I'll go big here. I'll say that the Pirates can finish two. So I guess that makes my 5-1 Reds, Cardinals, Brewers, Pirates, Cubs.
Okay, so that was 5-1. Okay, I follow.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I've been kind of wrestling with this one a little bit in terms of who I think is going to finish where. The one thing that I have pretty clearly is that I think the Cubs are going to finish first. Which, by the way, so for anyone who's listening to this on Wednesday, we are recording this on Tuesday night, so we're recording the night before. We just got some breaking news on the pod. Do you want to hear it about the NL
We
Central?
sure did. We've been rumored all day for this deal to come through, and it finally has.
Pete Crow Armstrong signs a 6-year extension at $115 million with the Chicago Cubs. Buys out 2 free agent years, no options. Escalators in 2031 32 could bring the total value to 133. That is a tweet from Ken Rosenthal. Jeff Passan had the deal. So Cubs lock up their franchise player 2 days before their first game of the season. That's always good news. As someone who just watched the Toronto Blue Jays take the Vladdy deal into the season, but get it done quickly. Second they got that deal done, it felt a lot different. So it's and again, Pete Crow Armstrong, the thing about him is he was under team control for a while. Nice thing is that this will buy out 2 free agent years for them. So anyway, that's it on the Cubs. Not going to spend a ton of time on the Cubs because I do think they're going to be good, and I think they're going to win that division. I think they're going to be the only playoff team in this division. I'm higher on the Reds than you are, like significantly. I have the Cardinals finishing last in the division. I
Fuck you.
have the Brewers. Fair. I have the Brewers finishing fourth. I have the Pirates finishing third. I have the Reds narrowly missing the playoffs and finishing second. And then I obviously have the Cubs first. So the Pirates, I was wrestling with the Pirates between 2 and 3 with the Reds. I like the Pirates ace better because they have Paul Skeens, but their rotation after that drops off significantly. Um, Mitch Keller's their number 2. He's probably more of a number 4. Their bullpen's okay with Dennis Santana. Their lineup's not very good. The Reds can hit. They really can. Their rotation is going to be solid. It's not going to be great. I don't think it's going to be terrible. Like I think they're going to be fairly middle of the pack, maybe lower end of that middle of the pack, maybe around like 18th in the league. But I think that their offense is potentially going to be a top 10 offense. It's a hitter friendly ballpark. So, the guys like Will Benson, Ellie Dela Cruz, some of these guys, Tyler Stevenson, their power is going to play because of that ballpark. So, yeah, I have the Reds narrowly missing the playoffs at number 2. And then my bonus take for you, and I can't wait to see your reaction to this one. I think the St. Louis Cardinals are going to be one of the 5 worst teams in the sport. And I think that if I tell you the 5 worst teams, I think it's going to be the Twins, I think the Rockies are the worst team. I think the Nationals are going to be second worst. I think Cardinals are going to be the third worst team in baseball. Then I think the Twins and then the Angels. Those are my bottom 5 teams in the sport. Which, spoiler, Rockies are 5th in the NL West, which I don't think is surprising anyone. I think the Cardinals are so bad. I'm sorry. We can do a little bit of a Cardinals talk here. I think they're so bad. I just looked at their team, their roster. They have a couple guys in the lineup who you can convince yourself you can be excited about. JJ Weatherholt, I am excited about him, but he's a rookie. I'm not expecting him to do a ton. And that's okay. Jordan Walker is fine. Outside of that, like, there's nothing really there. The rotation is really, really bad.
So bad.
That bullpen
So bad.
is awful. That bullpen, you're relying on Dustin May to be like your third starter. Like that team is not good. I think the Cardinals could lose 100 games. I really do. I think it's going to be a really tough season for you guys, man. I'm sorry to say it, but I really do think it's going to be a tough season.
I don't like you right now, but I can't argue with you. Um, it's going to be bad. I had a little bit of wishful thinking. If you're going to talk about top 5 bad teams, the Reds are the 5th worst team and the 6th worst team at the Cardinals. Like I'm just being maybe petty, but like that's where I'll put my foot down. That's the NL Central, because if we talk about it anymore, I'll cry. So I'm putting the plug on the NL Central. National League West. Here we go. This one, I mean, we talked about predictable already. We used that word already. This one's another kind of predictable division. At least 1 and 5. You could make an argument for 3, 4, or sorry, 2, 3, and 4. You got the Dodgers, deepest roster in baseball. Otani, legendary status already. World Series favorites, you said now, by, betting odds,
A
by a
lot.
lot. It's probably a lock for them to finish number 1. You're probably a fool to not take them finishing first in the entire league. Then you have 2, 3, and 4, where, I don't know, the Diamondbacks, they went from like having too many and like really great starting pitching depth to all of a sudden having like not enough. And then you have the Padres that, I don't know, like that they're just a team that always lingers, always plays well, always has guys they can move, high end talent, but almost again no depth or lacking depth. Um, I like the Giants. Um, I think they could surprise people this year. They're a wild card team for me, by the way. Um, I'm gonna basically just throw it to the wall and see what sticks. But I'm going Rockies, Diamondbacks, Padres, Giants, Dodgers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Agree or disagree?
Half agree.
Nice.
Yeah, we agree on some things. I did actually struggle with the Dodgers at 1. I do think there's some red flags at the back end of that rotation. I think that their offense is just going to be good enough to sustain it. Like, I think they're going to be fine. At the end of the day, they're the Dodgers, right? Like, they're going to even if they don't win the division, everyone's going to pick them to win the World Series
Yep.
anyway. But I do have them finishing first in the NL West. I have the Padres finishing at 2. Um, I'll touch on why I was thinking about putting them 1 here in a little bit. I got the Giants at number 3. I have both of those teams making the playoffs,
Nice.
both the Padres and Giants. Then I got the Diamondbacks at 4, and the woeful, sad, embarrassing state of affairs that is the Colorado Rockies being the worst team in the sport again. So that's that's my 1 through 5. I don't think there's really a ton to talk about here. The Giants, I do think the Giants are interesting. I actually think, weirdly, I think the Giants might actually have a shot to win this division if the Dodgers falter a little bit.
Nice.
I like their pitching depth, even though I picked the Padres to finish second. But yeah, I mean, we'll like I said, I'll touch on why I'm high on the Padres a little bit here. But yeah, I got Dodgers. I don't have the Dodgers finishing first overall though. I'm finishing second in the NL. I think the Cubs are going to be the best regular season team in the National League. They're very, very deep. And then I got the Dodgers second. I got the Phillies third.
Nice.
In the National League, with the Mets being the top wild card team, and then the Padres 5th, Giants 6th. That's how my playoff standings.
I really don't hate that. I have some of those flip flopped, but for the most part, that checks. That's a pretty good.
I'm pretty sure we have basically the same playoff teams. We just have them in different.
Yeah, just some different orders, but for the most part, maybe we're onto something. I don't know what all those experts claim to be.
We were pretty good on those World Baseball Classic picks. Like, we really were pretty solid on those. So, maybe we got to get into the picks game. So we'll see how this goes.
I will say Paul Goldschmidt did win me $500 the year he won NL MVP. I threw $20. I threw $20 down on that on a whim. And then for fun, I threw $10 down on Arenado at the same time. So I won money either way, but it was, nice 500 bones from Paul Goldschmidt. Who fuck you, you're a Yankee now, fuck you. But shout out Paul Goldschmidt, I guess, but fuck you, you're a Yankee. I love it. National League West. That checks. Beep, bop, boop, bop, bam. I love it.
That's all I got.
That's it. I mean, what more can you say? We'll see what happens at the end, but National League West, we will see you against the Dodgers. And by we, I mean the Blue Jays, Dodgers. That's the first time that we see the National League West.
World Series
rematch. Second time we see the National League West. My bad. Forgot that they played the Rockies first. Yeah. My bad. Anyway, National League West. Ciao for now. Which brings us now to, I guess, early awards. You're a lot higher on these early awards things, and so are some of my colleagues that I work with. I struggle, man. I struggle to pick early season MVP or early season award winners. So I'm going to let you kind of run with it a little bit. And maybe you can
make picks too, though.
I'm going to have picks. I'm not saying I don't have any picks. Okay. I just mean that
it sounded like you were trying to get out of doing
picks. No. I'm definitely
That's what it sounded like.
I mean, I think maybe some of my picks are maybe a little bit more obvious than some, but maybe not. We will find out. Hit me with your.
I mean, listen. No one's expecting you to go out here and pick Tyler O'Neill to win MVP. That's not what. It's not what we're here for. So
okay, hold on. Scratches Tyler O'Neill off my list. Damn it.
Well, here's the thing. So the fun part about doing these awards is, if you're right, you look like a genius, and if you're wrong, you go, "Yeah, I picked this in March. Who cares?"
That's
right?
True.
But if you're right, here's the thing. No one's going to remember this at the end of the season. But if we're right, we will, and we'll make sure to let people know. So,
okay.
All right, where do we want to start? What award do you want to start with?
MVP. Let's go heavy hitters.
AL? We want to go AL MVP
AL
first?
MVP. You go first.
Okay. We're just going to do one. I was thinking about whether we should do like top 3 or whatever. So I'm going to go one. I guess I'll give an honorable mention.
Sure, you can give an honor.
On a couple of these.
Give anything you want.
Oh, thanks. It's almost like it's our podcast. We can do
It's
whatever we
true.
want. Um, my American League MVP this season is Bobby Witt Jr. I think that he has been knocking on the door of this type of award for a while now. I have the Royals winning the AL Central mainly because I think Bobby Witt Jr. is going to have a crazy good season. The fact that he plays short, plays elite defense, he can run, he can hit for power. He's a true five-tool player. He's the best shortstop in the world, in my opinion. And yeah, I think he's going to power that Royals team uh, to the top of that division. So yeah, I've got Bobby Witt Jr. winning the AL MVP. My honorable mention, going to sound like homerism. There's going to be a couple of homer sounding honorable mentions here, but my honorable mention is Vladdy, just because of how he looked. We talked about this last week, where might need to do a 30 for 30 on those 5 days between the end of the regular season and that first playoff game, because he looks like a different player. And he, like I said, like he looks mature. He looks like he's ready to lead a franchise, not just lead a team, but lead a franchise. He's got a big chip on his shoulder with how last year ended. And yeah, I could see Vladdy having like a 2021 type season. And the thing about that is the only reason he didn't win the MVP in 2021 was because Shohei Ohtani pitched and hit, and he's not in the American League anymore. So, yeah, those are my two favorite picks is Bobby Witt and Vladdy.
I'm going to flip those picks, but for all the same reasons. Yeah, truly. I was flip flopping this.
So you got Vladdy winning
I do.
MVP, and you got Bobby
I
Witt.
do. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Year one of a 500 mil deal, like we're coming in hot and heavy. You know what I mean? Like we're,
Yeah.
boom. We're coming in and we're proving it right away. We being Vladdy. Um, and and yeah, I mean, Bobby Witt is so good. He's so good at baseball, dude.
So
He's
good.
just so good. So yeah, arguably sniffing, deservedly so to win it. If he does, I think the Royals probably have to make a little bit of noise in order to do that, and he's the guy to carry them to do that. Maybe honorable mention to somebody like a Gunnar Henderson who could maybe.
I was just going to say him as my dark
Mm-hmm,
horse. I was going to say bonus
mm-hmm,
take Gunnar Anderson is my dark horse
mm-hmm,
here
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
for MVP. I think he's so good
Yep.
too, man.
And
Like
I think a case could be made. It depends how their season goes, and it just depends how he's seeing the ball. But maybe I'm higher on Roman Anthony than some, but that could be somebody who you might want to look at as just being maybe somebody who could make some noise, get some votes in there. Maybe not win it, maybe a dark horse if you're looking at some of those other guys hitting slumps. But yeah, I'm gonna go Vladdy winning. MVP runner up is Bobby Witt, and we're gonna share the dark horse of Gunnar Henderson.
Gunnar Henderson.
Love it.
On your Roman Anthony point, I like where you're going with that. I think he's going to win an MVP in his
Yeah, that's
career.
fair.
I really do. I think he's a little young for it. Like I don't think he's going to do it this year, but I do think he is a future MVP winner. Which I'm not happy about the fact that he's a Red Sox. But yeah, I mean we have the same top three, just kind of flipped in terms of one and
Here
two.
for
So
it. Love it. Do we share the same National League MVP is the question. Um
you want to go first on this one?
Maybe. I'm hard pressed to not pick Shohei Ohtani. I I don't know, man. He's just so good at baseball. I'd love to see it go somewhere else. Like last year, Soto probably could have won it. You probably could have made the argument for Soto to win MVP last year, and he did not. I don't know. I'm picking Shohei because it's a safe bet. Like,
You don't like taking risks, eh? You're not that kind of
not
guy.
against Shohei. Not against Shohei
I
Ohtani.
mean,
I can't.
fair. He's
I can't.
he is electric. Like he's an unbelievable player. He's the
I
best.
can't.
You could argue the best player on the planet.
Yeah, you could make that argument. I mean, I think you're gonna have guys who. I mean, hey, if you're so high on the Reds, like maybe Ellie De La Cruz is your MVP, depending on how they shape up. But no, I'll play it safe. I'm gonna go Shohei Ohtani, playing it safe. Maybe L for me, but I'd rather take an L and be safe.
I I mean, like Shohei is the safe pick. He's minus 140 right now on FanDuel, with Soto being second in odds at plus 700. Um, I'm going to be a contrarian. I am not going to pick Shohei Ohtani.
Nice.
I am going to pick, as I was mentioning earlier, remember who I said that I would touch on more as to why I think they're going to finish second in the division? It's the San Diego Padres. It's because I have Fernando Tatis Jr. winning National League
Here
MVP,
for it.
having an unbelievable season. He is fourth in betting odds right now, distant fourth. He's plus 1900, but he's up there. My dark horse for NL MVP is Bryce Harper. I think, like I said, I think Bryce Harper is going to have a very, very good comeback season. I think he's going to prove to a lot of people that he still has it. So I like him. And then looking at this list of guys who could potentially make a run at this thing, Corbin Carroll, I think, is a fun one. Looking at him as an option to potentially win MVP. And then my actual runner-up is Ronald Acuna Jr. If he were to stay healthy. So if you're, I kind of bounce all over the place, but my 1 through 3 is Fernando Tatis 1, Ronald Acuna 2, and Bryce Harper 3. That's my top 3 MVPs.
I like it. I guess now we have
Cool.
Cy Young. Would Cy Young be
Yeah,
the
let's go Cy Young.
the next good pick here? Um,
Correct. Yeah, let's do it.
would you like to start with the AL or the NL?
We've been starting with the AL and everything. Let's go backwards. Let's start with the NL on this one.
Um, National League Cy Young for me is going to a gentleman that is going to haunt me for a long, long time after the way that he played in the 2026 World Series. I'm going to give the NL Cy Young to Yamamoto. Watch the World Series last year. End case. Like, I think he carries that same energy into this season. Nasty. They're just, I don't know. I hate the Dodgers. For all the right reasons. Like, I love baseball. I love watching entertaining baseball, and it sucks that they have so many entertaining. Like, share the wealth, bro. Anyway, yeah, shout out Yamamoto. He is my National League Cy Young winner as of today.
He is also my National League Cy Young winner, is Yamamoto.
Let's go.
I have Yamamoto winning it. He finished third last year in Cy Young voting. I think he wins it this year. Second, I have Paul Skeens. I do have Skeens still finishing up there. He's currently the betting favorite. Those two are 1 and 2. If I was betting strictly on value, if I was to tell you who my dark horse would be, it would be Freddie Peralta for the Mets. I believe that he's going to have an excellent season for the Mets. And yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. You said it all with Yamamoto.
I got my dark horse, Cristobal Sanchez. Watch that matchup play out.
Christopher Sanchez.
What did I just say?
Cristobal.
I'm just making shit up today.
Who's Cristobal Sanchez?
I don't know who that is. I'm just.
To be fair, we've been recording for like
just making. I'm just making names up for the sake of it. Christoph. We'll just call him Christoph Sanchez. Either way, dark horse option. American League Cy Young. This one's tricky. I think Scooble's probably your betting favorite. But you have these new faces, i.e. Dylan Cease. Maybe Dylan Cease takes home an AL Cy Young. I also think Garrett Crochet has a really good chance at walking away with the American League Cy Young this year too. Dude's nails. Dude could have won it last year. If I was a betting man, I hate picking Boston, but I'm going to pick Garrett Crochet because I think the Scooble drama plays a factor, and I don't think his numbers are going to be as they were. Um, I'd love to see Dylan Cease or Kevin Gosman be in the mix for a Cy Young. Maybe Garrett Croce, or sorry, maybe Garrett Cole comes back and puts up, Cy Young numbers and lets everybody remember who he once was. Yeah, I'll lock it in, Garrett Crochet, right now. I feel like that's like maybe another safe pick, but it's where I'm at. So feeling safe tonight.
So this was about to be bad for the pod because I had written down Garrett Crochet to win the Cy Young. But for the sake of saving both of us, I'm going to switch that pick. I'm going to pick someone different. And I'm stuck between two guys right now. Pause. We're gonna pretend I didn't say that out loud. Um, don't look at me like that. Yeah, I mean Dylan Cease is my like dark horse. Like I have him finishing third in Cy Young voting. I think he could win it, but I have him finishing third. The two guys I'm between right now are, and again, I'm not even considering Crochet only because you already picked him. So I'm gonna pick someone else. I'm between Cole Reagans and Brian Wu. Those are my
Dude, Brian
two
Woo's my dark
my
horse.
two
Yeah,
guys I'm
Brian
between.
Woo is my dark horse.
I'm gonna pick Cole Reagans, and I'm gonna be the biggest Kansas City Royals fan ever this year because I have them winning the division. I have Bobby Witt winning MVP, and now I have Cole Reagans winning Cy Young.
Damn.
So, um, and here's the thing with Cole Reagans is I picked him to win Cy Young last year, and I may have picked him to win Cy Young the year before. Like I've just been on the Cole Reagans train. I think he's gonna do it at some point, and if I keep picking him, eventually, if he wins, I'm gonna look like a genius. So I'm just gonna keep picking him. If he doesn't win it this year, maybe I'll pick him again
There you
next year.
go.
We'll
There you
see.
go.
But Cole Reagans, Brian Wu, Dylan Cease in that order.
Love it. Yeah, Brian Woo is my dark horse there. Like I said, Seattle's pitching is just nails, dude. And
It's really
they've
good.
just got,
They got three guys in the top 10 in betting
yeah.
odds for the Cy
Castillo's
Young.
probably in
So
there, I would imagine.
no,
No.
Castillo's not very good anymore. It's Gilbert and
Well,
Kirby
that
are the other
see,
two.
maybe I'm not as high on Kirby. Maybe I'm missing something. Somebody's got to teach me.
Well, you saw him get shelled twice by the Jays. Is probably what happened
honestly,
in the
honestly, it's
ALCS.
probably all it took for me to be like, "Oh, this guy's Garbaggio."
Yeah.
But either way,
Yeah.
okay. Now we move to World Series. Now, I don't know. We've kind of already talked about it. Not necessarily.
I don't think we've said who's going to make the World Series out of either league. So I think
Well,
this one's
didn't
actually
we kind of
this
hi
is a
maybe
fresh.
maybe we've already alluded to it, but nothing, nothing crazy. Um, I would love to see a repeat, and that's what I'm rolling with today. Because,
I gotta stop letting you go first, man.
well, my safe that like that I think that's a safe bet, right? I think that's safe. We're gonna probably see a repeat.
Well,
I
I don't
would
know.
like to
The Jays
see,
are seventh in
like I
wins.
said, I would like to see if the Mariners can finally put it together this year. Maybe Mariners over Dodgers. That would be sick. Just to stick it to the Dodgers and a couple Canadians winning a World Series never hurts. Um, yeah, dude. I mean, look at what other teams did and then compare it to what the Blue Jays did and then look at the level of talent that stems from that Dodgers team and tell me that they can't and shouldn't be in the World Series like every single year that they have guys like Otani locked up for. Like that, I'm not saying they're going to make the World Series every single year of that per se. They probably should with all that talent. I don't know. I Dodgers will not beat the Blue Jays this time, though. Blue Jays get it done in 6.
I like it. I like it. I said I gotta stop letting you go first because you keep stealing my thunder on all these picks. My real pick is Jays over Dodgers. Um, I'll give you a bonus pick here just so that we don't have the exact
Please
same
do.
thing. But I my thing with the Jays this season is it feels very it reminds me a lot of the Kansas City Royals from 10 years ago where 2014 kind of came out of nowhere, felt like a team of destiny, made it all the way to game 7, lost with the tying run on third base. You know who was on the mound for the other team? Madison Bumgarner, who was 10 years ago, he was Yoshinobu Yamamoto before Yoshinobu Yamamoto, where he basically won a World Series by himself. Yamamoto did the same thing. So they were that close. I think the Jays have everything they need to get back there. I think that they are motivated. They, yeah, like I really like what their team looks like. I like them more than I like every other team in the American League. It's hard not to trust them at this point. We've seen them come up in big moments all the time last year, which is great. John Schneider, like I said, everything he touched really turned to gold last year. I have a very similar thing. I have the Jays over the Dodgers, but I have it in 7. I have them avenging the loss from a year ago in Game 7. My bonus take is if we're not going to pick the Jays or the Dodgers, I've got Mariners beating the Cubs in the World Series.
Nice.
That's my other pick is Mariners over Cubs.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously have the Cardinals winning the World Series too, but that's
You just said they were going to be the 6th worst team in
well, they're
baseball.
that's just pipe dreams, man. Like I don't think we'll. Yeah, they're just.
Yeah, and when the Cardinals win the World Series, you can turn off your PlayStation and go to bed because that's the only way you're going to see them win a World Series in the next 3 years at
Jokes
minimum.
on you!
So
I didn't buy MLB The Show this year. That
smart move.
completes.
It's been a disaster.
That's another episode, folks. That's the MLB. That is the entire MLB predictions. We appreciate everybody sticking that out. These are going to roll out, like I said, one full episode, but we're also breaking them down per division in the reels. Figured out how to do that. Shout out YouTube. So that'll be nice and easy and chop that up real nice coming into your ear holes over the next few days. We have MLB baseball returning tonight. Yankees, Giants, all that fun stuff. Netflix is the place to be at 8 p.m. So, see you there, I suppose.
Yeah, watch the Usos
Yeah,
break down
that's
baseball.
great.
Yeah, it
That's
should be great.
crazy. Watch
Should be great.
Wednesday Adams. Sorry, the actor portraying Wednesday Adams throw the first pitch. Here's maybe a hot take, maybe not. I think if the Toronto Blue Jays make it back to the World Series, that Buck Martinez throws out the first pitch at Game 1.
That would be so sick. That'd be so
I'll
good.
put that out there right now. Blue Jays make the World Series.
That would be so
Buck
sick.
Martinez throws the first pitch. Folks, thanks. Thanks for chatting baseball with us. I'm fired up for this season. We're going to have lots to talk about for the rest of the year. Maybe these predictions will hit, maybe they won't, and that's the beauty about doing them in March. I am the Stuntman. That is the Lazarbeam. This is Warning Track North, and we will see you on the flip side. Ciao for now.
Happy opening day.